The day I came home to muddy footprints across my carpet, I knew she'd been in my house again. Same faint smell of her perfume, sharp and flowery, like something that wants to be sweet but turns sour halfway through. The back door was locked, just like when I left that morning, but I didn't need to see a broken latch to know the truth. There's a certain kind of violation you can feel in your bones, like someone's been walking through your life uninvited. And this time she'd taken something. My dad's old watch, the one thing I kept on that shelf for him. Gone. That was the moment I realized this wasn't just about property lines or HOA rules. This was personal. Her name was Marcia Blake, president of the Pleasant Creek Homeowners Association. She had that smile people wear when they think they're in charge of the world. The kind that says, "I know the rules, and they exist for me, not you." And she'd already barged into my backyard, once clipboard in hand, lecturing me about the glare angle on my solar panels like she was NASA. I'd filed reports, changed locks, even put up cameras, but she just got sneakier. 6 months of notes, fines, and little reminders that she owned every inch of peace I tried to build. And now she'd broken in again. The sheriff's deputy didn't even pretend to care. "Mr. Sanders, without proof, there's not much we can do," he said, like reading from a script. So I decided to get proof, the kind she couldn't talk her way out of. It started with a can of bright blue porch paint. I was fixing a cabinet when the idea hit me like lightning. Petty, sure, but perfect. I rigged a thin plastic liner under the latch on my back door, coated it in fresh cobalt paint, and cleaned everything around it. Then I waited. 3 days passed before I saw her again, strutting around with her clipboard pretending to measure property lines. She waved like nothing had happened. "Morning, Mr. Sanders. You still planning to trim those hedges? HOA prefers a cleaner view." I smiled, said nothing. That silence rattled her more than any argument could. That night, right around 11, my motion light blinked on, then off, then on again. I sat still listening. The gate latch clicked. The back door creaked. 10 seconds later, a metallic thud. The trap had sprung. The next morning, there she was in her driveway, gripping her steering wheel, trying not to be seen. Except she couldn't hide her hands, bright, perfect blue. Smudges on her cheek, her blouse even a streak in her blonde hair. When our eyes met, she froze. I gave her a big wave. She peeled out of her driveway so fast she nearly hit her mailbox. By noon, the HOA sent out an email. Reminder: all residents should refrain from setting paint traps or other hazards on private property. I laughed so hard I almost spilled my coffee. But I'd won this round. I had photos time-stamped and clear as day. I sent them to the sheriff's office. This time the deputy actually chuckled. "Guess you got your proof, huh?" He said they'd have a talk with her. It felt like justice for about 48 hours. Then came the letter. 3 pages of legal jargon accusing me of vandalism and compromising neighborhood safety. A $2,000 fine. She'd turned her crime into my punishment. That's when I realized Marcia didn't fight fair. She fought bureaucratic. I took the letter straight to the HOA office. Greg, the vice president, looked like he wanted to crawl under his desk. "Between you and me," he said, "she's passionate. Says you set a trap." "A deterrent," I corrected. "And she triggered it breaking into my home." He rubbed his temples. "She says she was inspecting your door paint. Claims it's an unapproved color." At 11 o'clock at night, he didn't answer. But when I slid my phone across the desk footage of Marcia sneaking along my fence, his face went pale. This could be a problem for her. "Yeah," I said, "that's the idea. I thought that would end it." Instead, it lit the fuse. 2 mornings later, I woke to a big red under violation review sign staked right in my front yard. She wanted to humiliate me publicly. I took a picture, sent it to Greg, and then did something she never expected. I threw a barbecue. Hot dogs, country music cooler full of beer, right next to the violation sign. Neighbors came by curious, then laughing. By sunset, everyone was talking about it. The sign became a joke. And Marcia. She sat behind her curtains, watching her power crumble one laugh at a time. But she didn't give up. She filed another complaint, then another. Claimed my cameras were violating privacy laws. She was trying to paint me as the neighborhood creep. So I did what she'd never expect. I hosted a community safety demo. Showed off my home security system to the whole block. Halfway through, I played a short clip for demonstration purposes. It showed someone sneaking into my yard at night, hooded flashlight, red-stained fingers. The crowd murmured. Everyone knew those hands. Marcia arrived late, pretending surprise. Promoting paranoia now, are we? She said, all fake laughter. Just keeping folks safe from uninvited guests, I replied. If you're implying something, I cut her off. If anyone thinks I've misrepresented them, they can explain what they were doing on my property at midnight. Silence. Pure, delicious silence. By the end of the week, the HOA suspended her. Misuse of funds, harassment, the works. Greg called me personally. She's out, he said. And honestly, I think she's losing it. For a while, things got quiet. Then one night I noticed a smear of blue paint on my gate. Same shade as before. Not an accident. A message. That was her last move, or so I thought. Turns out people like Marcia don't disappear. They linger. She started sending letters again, unsigned but familiar in tone. Then a late-night noise complaint brought cops to my door for a disturbance. Always anonymous. Always traced back to her street. Eventually, she was arrested for harassment, property damage, violation of a restraining order. The HOA collapsed soon after. Everyone was relieved. For months, life finally felt peaceful again. Until one evening, long after I'd moved to a new town, I came home to find an envelope taped to my mailbox. No name, no return address, just a smudge of blue paint in the corner. Inside was a photo. My old house. My old driveway. The words written in chalk across it read, "Welcome back, neighbor." I stood there in the rain staring at that photo, and for the first time in a long while, I didn't feel angry. I just felt tired. Because maybe that's the thing about people like her, they don't just want control. They want to leave something behind. A mark you can scrub and sand and repaint 100 times but never really erase. So yeah, if you ever think HOA drama is just about trash bins or lawn heights, trust me, it can get darker than you think. What about you? Have you ever had a neighbor who just wouldn't stop pushing boundaries? Drop your story in the comments. I'd love to know how far you'd go to protect your peace. And if you enjoyed this tale, make sure to like, subscribe, and tell me, was I wrong to fight back? Or did I just give her exactly what she deserved?